some of my stories that really hit home. So I'm going to go straight into it. The question number one, I am not qualified. I don't have a degree in early childhood education. I'm not a teacher. Who am I to homeschool my kid? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you, that is an imposter syndrome in disguise. And it will never go away. 99.9% of human population is dealing with imposter syndrome, from CEOs to presidents to writers, bloggers, creators, not to mention, homeschooling moms. Trust me, I had those moments and I still have. So the key here is to realize that it's the teeny tiny voice. Those are some debilitating, disempowering thoughts. And we just gotta shut them up and say, hey, I am the only person in this entire world who loves my child as much as I do, and I'm gonna figure it out. And hey, it's gonna be messy, it's gonna be trial and error, but I'm gonna start and I'm gonna figure it out along the way. So let me tell you a quick story. I always had that innate desire, which I wasn't even aware of, that I wanted to teach. Though, when I was little, if you had listened to my Anya Garcia show, the trailer, I told the whole story, how I was standing in a sandbox in a teeny tiny Eastern European country, my homeland, in a sandbox, declaring to my best friend, I was about maybe 6, 7, I will be an attorney and I will live in New York City. She looked at me like I was moving to Mars. Well, first of all, that timing was just perfect. It was during the geopolitical turmoil of the Cold War era and total patriarchy. So the prospect of me immigrating to the United States and becoming an attorney were quite slim. Anyway, I held that dream dear to my heart. And in the meantime, I was lining up my dolls in a line and teaching them. I would play school with them. And when my sister was born, I was so excited. Not because I wanted to share my toys with her, which I didn't, but because I had a real human to play school with. So instead of the dolls. So I would sit her up, I would dress her up, and she could barely sit, and I pretend to play school. Of course, I was a teacher and she was my student. Did she like it? Probably not. Was she absorbing multiplication at 18 months? Probably not. But what my point is here, that deep innately, we all want to teach. So whether that desire was materialized and you are a teacher, or it is a deep down, it can now materialize through you homeschooling your kid. The point is, as human beings, we all want to be better and evolve and learn and prosper. Otherwise, hey, human evolution would have been doomed. And the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I hope I debunked this I'm not qualified myth, because you are. And also, you are not teaching quantum mechanics to Harvard students. You're teaching your toddler, for God's sake. So stress, let's put the stress to the side, and let's tackle the next one. So some of you had asked, they said, the youngest sets the pace rule. Aren't we regressing the older children? So if you were with me during part 1, I will quickly recap. So I shared with you the youngest sets the pace rule, and I'll give you an example so that you can understand what I'm talking about. No, we are not regressing or holding back the older kids. So let me tell you a story. I set up this beautiful oil paints sunset picture set up for my older daughter, Julia. And oil paints, like if they end up on your furniture or on your table, it's extremely hard to get rid of them. And here Adrian, he just bursts in, he grabs a paintbrush, he dips it into the water, and then he starts spraying water all over the room. Thank goodness it wasn't oil paints. And Julia looked at him. She was like, am I allowed to do that? And that's when I realized I set up something so perfect. God forbid oil paints get in the hands of your toddler. And I wasn't thinking that the setup was not staged for my youngest son's developmental needs, which is paintbrush and water. So he was like 19 months. So I quickly swapped the watercolor painting and I placed a huge cardboard, like a cut-up box, and I gave them paintbrushes and water. I want you to try it. And if you do, tag me in Instagram if you end up sharing us in stories. Because remember, I have 3 winners to win Starbucks gift cards. So today, 3 of you will have coffee on me. So screenshot at any point during this live, share in your stories and tag me, Montessori from the Heart, and I will pick 3. So let me know if you're going to give it a try. Again, cardboard, paintbrushes, and water. It works miracle. First of all, it's mess-free. And as the water dries, this is actually a very ancient Chinese meditation technique. It's called painting with water, because as you paint, you must be in this moment, in the now, because the water disappears. So it's pretty cool. I don't remember the name, but that's not the point. So that's the example of setting your activity with expectation that you have to meet your youngest developmental needs first, not the oldest one. Now, a lot of you are saying, hey, I have an 18-month-old and I have a 4-year-old. How am I supposed to teach both of them at the same time? Here is the clue. You don't have to teach both of them simultaneously. We call it parallel learning. And by the way, if you are enjoying this live, drop yes in the comments and I will immediately send you a link to my podcast, Anya Garcia Show, where you can listen to me on the go, or if you more face-to-face interaction, you can watch it on YouTube because the YouTube video is live. And where is it here? And you can ask you something real quick. Have you ever found yourself special effects that my amazing video editor does? And you can also, while you're there, this is the thumbnail for the YouTube, so you can find it quickly, how to homeschool multiple kids. And while you're there, you can grab this one. It's a free guide. It's a comprehensive 10-page guide, Thriving with Multiple Kids. And I break it down step by step with visuals and charts. So make sure to comment yes in the comments below and I'll immediately send you the link. And again, listen, watch, and grab the free guide. Okay, back to the question. Okay, where was I? Okay, so yes, how do we teach effectively when we have multiple age going on at once? Okay, you can drop your comments. I cannot bring you on because I'm streamlining through a third-party software. I'm not going directly on Instagram Live, but I see who's joined, I see your reactions, and yeah, you can drop a comment and I'll keep track of those questions for my next live, which will be happening next Friday. So let me go Full screen again. Okay, here am I. Okay, let me tell you another story. So I was teaching Julia phonics. So we were sounding out words, and out of nowhere, Adrian disappeared. And by the way, my kids are 4 years apart. So while in a Montessori setting, generally it's a 3-year classroom. So you have, let's say, 3, 4, 5-year-olds are grouped together. And that is the most important, not talked enough aspect, which is at the heart of Montessori. It's this multi-age grouping. Why? Because, and if you're multitasking, you gotta come a little closer. Children learn best from their peers, friends, siblings, than from a teacher. So Adrian disappeared. I'm like, where the heck is he? And then I hear him in the kitchen rumbling. He's like, I'm doing division. So I burst into the kitchen, like, what is he dividing in the kitchen? So he found a cookie jar. Apparently he needed a snack. And remembering a week earlier, me doing a lesson with Julia on division using a Montessori division board, he decided to come up with his own lesson. So forget the Montessori division board. He grabbed a cookie jar and he was giving it one to his teddy bear, one to his truck friend, and one to himself. Here is hands-on learning at its best. So the point is that children don't compartmentalize the learning. They are recalling what they might have heard a week prior, and then they bring it to action. So we call it parallel learning. Or another example, Adrian was about 3.5 and he just started blending. And let me tell you, if you have a toddler and you spend about like 2 weeks going, it's I can't tell you how many times I said that. He would not blend it together. So they need to be neurologically ready. The neurons must fire a certain way for them to be able to blend, map. So instead of just enunciating individual sounds, I heard it like 10,000 times. Finally, he said, map. Oh my God, I was so excited. So we were practicing blending. And then Julia comes in, and do you remember my story with when I was lining up my dolls and teaching them, and then my sister was born. So we all have this innate deep desire to teach, to be teachers or whatever we're teaching. So Julia comes in, and she looked so tender, and she patted him on the shoulder. She's like, Adrian, you're doing so good. And she would sit nearby, and if Adrian had a little difficulties blending, for example, cap, we had a little basket with objects that would match whatever he was blending. So she would grab the basket and she would take a cap from the basket and she would show it to him. Said, Adrian, try again. What is this? What is this? The point is, one, she took on the role of leadership and opportunity for peer collaboration. And she was using what we call in a Montessori control of error. So ideally, you want to set up an environment where the material is self-correcting. So let's say if Adrian could not blend cap or map, we're talking about simple CVC words, then he would look into the basket and he would see there are only 5 objects there. So he can kind of guess. So we call it pre-reading with assistance. But the beauty of this example is that Julia instinctively honored the idea of control of error. Adrian received support not from me, but from his older sister. And remember what I told you, children learn best from other peers, friends. That's why you can tell them to say, thank you 100 times till you're blue in the face. But then if they hear their friend say a bad word, oh my God, you're not going to know the end. And also, anthropology supports it. In my episode on the Anya Garcia show, I talk about an amazing, amazing scientist, Dr. Suzanne Gaskins. And she had studied indigenous communities. And she saw that children learn through modeling, through peer collaboration, through immersion, not repetition. Immersion is like hands-on learning. So you roll up your sleeves and you dig into that. A simple example will be how to learn to ride a bike. Hey, you can read thousands and thousands of manuals and books. Hey, you have to do this, you have to do that, all like learning to ride a car. Till you get behind the wheel and you press the gas pedal and you start driving, you're not going to learn. So the same thing with children. We can teach them workbooks, and have them, writing on a piece of paper, 2 + 3 = 5. It does not resonate with them the same way as if you pull up 2 apples. Here is 2 apples, and I'm going to give you 3 bananas. Let's count how many fruits we have. Hands-on learning at its best. Okay, I have one more story to share with you. I have my timer going. I have a call in 7 minutes, so I'm gonna hop off. But another beautiful, beautiful example of parallel learning, because the concept might sound a little abstract, like what the heck is she talking about? Parallel to whom? So I was teaching Adrian odd and even. And I was using Montessori cards and counters. So cards are little numerals and counters are a teeny tiny red wooden discs. Then, without being asked, Julia, she jumps in. And this time she's not copying me. She internalized what I was teaching Adrian. And she brought up her 2 dolls. She brought up more than 2. But she put 2 dolls and she said, look, Mama and Papa, they are a pair. When 2 numerals are together, and she even made it seem like they were holding hands, and when they're in pair, that number is even. If a numeral does not have a pair, then that number is odd. And Adrian, because odd and even is such an abstract concept, he was so excited. He ran into the our learning space. He grabbed a basket with our animals, forest animals, and he brought a doe and a deer. And he said, pair, they're friends. And then he even started singing a song. Anyway, I have that video live on YouTube. This is so precious. Now, I'm going to finish this live, and again, I want to thank everybody for being here with me on Sunday. I see so many of you had showed up. Remember to comment yes if you would like a link to a full episode. Again, you can listen on Apple Podcast if you go for, a run, a walk, or you're doing laundry, or you're vacuuming. Just put me on full volume. Or if you like this face-to-face, watch me on YouTube and you can leave a comment and you can actually ask me what else you would like me to talk about. Or if you have questions or concerns, hey, I'm here for you. I'm here for you because I had discovered this beauty and gift of multi-sensory, parallel learning, Montessori, hands-on, experiential learning by doing, and I'm just so eager to share it with you. Okay, last story. And that's a big one. So, and again, if you're multitasking, okay, let me just, I thought I silent my phone. Sorry about that. Children thrive on predictability, not pressure. Again, if you're multitasking, come back to me. Think flow, not clock. Rhythm, not rigid schedule. Trust me, and it's not about color-coded schedules, and I'm as guilty as charged because I'm an attorney, and the only way to pass a bar exam, which is like an 8-hour exam, is to be so insanely organized. So my outlines were color-coded with stickers. I had like a whole system going on. So I thought that I can do the same with homeschooling. Hey, with little kids, it doesn't work. Maybe if you are taking a bar exam, that will work, but not with little kids. So the last story before I'm going to let you go. Are you still with me? So it was a regular Tuesday morning. So I had my schedule ready. I'm like, we're going to be super productive, effective. And so I had our math for 9 a.m., 9:30, I had planned phonics and sensory play. Guess what? Adrian wasn't into it. He was crying because we couldn't find his cup, his blue cup, which was in a dishwasher. And Julia decided that it was not Tuesday math, it was Tuesday tears. So we had like a full-blown mess. I took a deep breath. I said, okay, we're going to shift. We're going to pivot. We're going to shift. We got dressed and I said, you know what? We're going to go for a walk. We went for a walk. We looked at the clouds. We took deep breath. We played the listening game. And once we got back, and remember, you are bringing oxygen to your brain. You are calming down your nervous system by being outside. And kids get to exercise their gross motor muscles. So it's extremely important. I actually suggest for younger ones 2 to 3 nature outings a day, depending how long or short you can keep them. So we come back and I say, okay, now we're going to light a candle. And I put the scented stick, I lit up the scented stick, and then we lit up the candle. I brought up a yoga mat and we stretched. And that worked magic. After that, we sat in a circle, we sang a nursery rhyme, and I told them, hey, today, this is what we're going to do. We're going to learn about frogs, which are called amphibians, and we're going to have a fun water sensory game, and then we're going to play with frogs and put them on lily pads, and I got them so excited. The next day was like magic. Why? Because I did not follow the clock. I followed the rhythm. We went for a walk. We came back from the walk, and I lit the candle, and we sang the song, and then I eased them into our activity. And that was the beginning of our morning circle. If you are not utilizing it yet in your homeschooling setting, I highly, highly recommend. Don't just throw your kid into academics right after they had breakfast. Establish a routine that they look forward to and then ease them in. Because that predictability acts as a sensory and emotional cue, a signal of what's to come. They know in their brain that it is safe. I know what's coming. I don't have to brace it or resist it. And it is much easier to then flow them into your academics. And remember, with kids, 2 to 3 minutes per age. So keep the activities to like 10 to 15 minutes max. Okay, my sweet friend, we are right on time. So I'm going to see you next Friday. I'm going to post it in my